Hello, I'm Ron Luckock, builder of the Lehigh River Valley Miniature. This is a model of my home under construction that contains a cellar over 100 feet long. Inside are over 600 scratch-built models of the Lehigh River Valley, those existing today and those that are torn down a long time ago. The focus is the forks of the Delaware, where 5 railroads, 3 canals, 2 major highways, 2 rivers, and numerous trolley lines came together and exchanged. The significance of all this is a photograph taken in Great Britain of the Severn Valley Railway, where most historians believe the Industrial Revolution began at the beginning of the 19th century with the iron furnaces up and down the Severn River. In the Lehigh River Valley, we have an extended version of this, with the biggest industry resulting in Bethlehem steel. The Industrial Revolution was to have tremendous consequences to every single human being on Earth. Without our machines, we would probably be looking for our next meal under large flat rocks, just like our ancestors did, and not too long ago either. The Industrial Revolution had enormous consequences, and wherever we're going, we're certainly going there awfully fast. This is Jersey City Station. It was once considered the busiest commercial station in the world at one time, although there is some doubt about that. The original contains 22 tracks. This model contains 16 tracks. This is Market Street through Phillipsburg. I believe it was the original street through Phillipsburg many years ago. It was closed off in the late 60s. The early station was built about 1870 or so when the Lackawanna come through, and then the joint station, the newer one, was built about 1911. This was the early roundhouse at Phillipsburg. It once had 10 stalls. I had to control it a little bit and build it smaller to 4 stalls. And behind it is Elizabeth Street. The carpenter shop is next to the B6, and the handcar sheds are down the line. See the big structure down there? The Phillipsburg train station was demolished in 1949. This is a location at South 3rd Street in Easton, Pennsylvania, as it looked sometime in the 50s, early 60s. All these structures today are demolished in the Reconstruction era of 1970, 71, 72. This is where the Central Railroad New Jersey crossed the Lehigh River and immediately crossed South 3rd Street. Central Railroad New Jersey Station, built in 1888 rather, by a Philadelphia contractor. It burned down in an arson fire September 1st, 1975. Directly behind it was the curved station of the Central New Jersey Freight Station. That burned down May 17th, 1977. Both were arson fires. We lost a beautiful station here in Easton. Supposedly it was to be turned into a restaurant at the time. It was the construction was just started when it got burned. Eastern section of it was built over South 3rd Street. You can still see the piers today that held it up when they cut them, when they destroyed the station after the fire. Bethlehem Station here. It was saved by the J Crews. It was built in 1873. It's in pretty bad shape today. The American Freedom Train stopped here in 1976. Probably the most famous time in the history of the station. President Roosevelt way back about 1908 also made a speech here. Central New Jersey Station in Bethlehem, or Roundhouse rather, servicing area. This was demolished several years ago by Norfolk Southern. A Y is in this location today. Central Rear New Jersey Station in Allentown. Background, the Lehigh Valley Railroad station was torn down maybe 20, 30 years ago, bit by bit. Downtown Jim Thorpe with church in the background. Boy, that was a real complicated church. Downtown Jim Thorpe contains some of the buildings that are not there today. The Carbon County offices in the center. Freight station, Jersey Central Freight Station, torn down about 67. Central Hotel torn down maybe 3/4 of a century ago. And the Lehigh Valley Railroad offices in the center of town, a real fancy building with a lot of chimney work on it. It became the Lehigh Coal Navigation Company later on, and today it's apartments. Jersey Central Station, sister station to the one in Easton, built in 1888 by the same Philadelphia contractor. Asa Packer Mansion. Harry Packer Mansion was meant as a gift to his son when he got married. The diner was moved out, about 3-4 years ago, 2007, 8, 9, somewhere in there. I understand it went to Ohio. Wahnetah Hotel at Glen Inoko, just north of Jim Thorpe, about 2 miles. It was a huge hotel. It was actually built in 3 processes, and it had a 70-foot bar in it. It was used by railroaders and canalers. It burned down in a forest fire about 1911. They couldn't get equipment in to put the fire out. It was never rebuilt. In 1884, supposedly 5,000 people jammed into Glen Inoko. They had hiking, fishing, and other activities, especially at the bar rooms. On the other side, we have the Lehigh Valley Station at Glen Inoko. Its usefulness ran out about 1917, and it was torn down shortly after. Right behind it is Glen Inoko Falls. You can still hike up the trail today. Lehigh River Gorge. Penn Haven Junction. Here the tracks separated on the Lehigh Valley. To the left, to the east, they went up to Hazleton. To the right, they went up the river. Lehigh Valley crossed over the Jersey Central at this point. Behind on the hill, you can see remnants of the Hazleton Railroad, which had a coal dock, and they had steam locomotives on top of the hill coming right down to the river. And going through the Lehigh River Gorge. Jim Thorpe. This was burned down in the fire drill in 1963 after having outlived its usefulness. Last train used it was about 1961. Bear Mountain Station on the Lehigh Valley Railroad near Mauch Chunk. In 1902, it was demolished. Lehigh Valley Railroad offices at South Bethlehem. At one time, the early offices were in Philadelphia, but they moved them here in Bethlehem for shorter distances. Early Bethlehem Station, torn down in 1924 or so to make way for the Hill Bridge, which went through this location. Pacific House, situated between the Reading and the Lehigh Valley Railroad interchange. It must have been a tough place to get asleep at night alongside the railroads as it is. Bethlehem Steel in the background. The blast furnace is actually an HO gauge. The O gauge one will go right through the ceiling. Here is a model of my home in Steel City with the tower in the background right alongside the tracks. Erecting shop at South Easton, demolished in 1986, erected in 1884. This is where locomotives were built by the Lehigh Valley Railroad. At the turn of the century, everything was transferred to Sarah, Pennsylvania. Originally, the roundhouse was 360 degrees and rebuilt about 1935 to 180 degrees. This was a suspension bridge that went across the Lehigh River, cost 2 cents till after World War II. It blew down in a hurricane in 1950 and never rebuilt. The roundhouse came down in 1951. Southeastern Yard, which was called Abbott Street Yard. Lehigh Valley Dining Car Department, which was used to refurbish dining cars. Everything was prepared on site. When the Black Diamond stopped, they only had like 5 minutes to put stuff into the dining cars. Swift and Company behind it. Lehigh Valley Station existed till Conrail tore the top part of it out. The tower also went down about 1999 in one day. The early station, actually the third station that Lehigh Valley had at Easton, was demolished in 1945, built in 1890, and it contained a dining room which patrons had like 15 minutes to gulp down a meal very quickly. Cuba's Brewery, established about the 1870s. It was not popular in this area. It was more popular down south. Nothing left today. It's a complete overgrown situation. The base is all cracked, trees are growing and plants are growing, and you never know it was there. Lehigh Valley Railroad Bridge, this is 1901 bridge. It replaced the 1875 bridge. Delaware River looking south. Morris Canal was in operation till about 1920 or so, but across the Delaware River from the Lehigh Canal, Phillipsburg Station, Lehigh Valley Railroad, came down in 1937. It was just a small little station who outlived its usefulness. Phillipsburg Tower was over on this side at one time. 1900, they transferred on the other side of the tracks. The rock cut here was for two railroads interchangement. West Portal Station on the Lehigh Valley Railroad, little small country station which had a creamery next to it at one time. It came down in 1944-45 during the war. Well, that's pretty much a rush through.